Hey, how's it going? In this video, I'm gonna be taking a look at the Caspian Sea, an entire region, and I'll try to understand value of this region and what this region has to offer. The Caspian Sea region is renowned for its vast oil and gas reserves, which has played a significant role in shaping economics and geopolitical landscape of the countries bordering the unique body of water. With its substantial energy resources, the Caspian Sea has attracted global attention, foreign investment, and complex agreements among the littoral states. So there's a lot of potential there. Perhaps this region is very unstable. I'm not entirely sure what it has and what kind of challenges and what interested in this region would need to overcome. But it has a lot of value, or a lot of potential, if anything. The geopolitical history of the Caspian Sea basin has made it prime location for hydrocarbon deposits. The sea itself is a remnant of the vast Asian ocean that existed during the late Paleolithic and early Mesopotamian eras over a million of years. As the sea retreated and evaporated, it left behind thick layer of sediments that gradually transformed into oil and gas reserves we see today. So it's overall history of what was happening within the region, right? But even some of the books that I'm reading, they they would be talking about this region and this region's potential and how much value there is potential within the region and for people to potentially extract from, right? Let's take a look at oil and gas reserves. It's not necessarily limited to those resources, but currently there's a large market demand for those resources, with oil prices potentially slowing down production. If anything, some of the countries agree to slow down production. By doing that, they most likely would increase the price of some of those resources, right? Hopefully, I don't know, it's something that they agree on, as well as taking a look at the seasons and we entering winter season, so there's perhaps going to be more demand for some of these resources. By doing that, we're looking to increase price, and that would be pushed down to consumers, right? If anything, people perhaps know that, as well as some of the countries out there depleting the reserves on some of the resources that they have. So interesting, the way how things might unfold, if anything. The Caspian Sea region is estimated to hold vast quantities of both oil and natural gas reserves. These reserves are distributed across several countries, to each with its own share of resources. So there are a number of countries. Let's cover those in more detail. Azerbaijan sector of Caspian Sea is home for several major oil and gas fields, including Azeri, Charg, Gushahi field, one of the largest in the world. The Shah Deniz gas field is another significant discovery of the region, containing substantial reserve of natural gas. There's a lot of value there. People who might be interested in capturing that value, even by solving this problem, right? I don't know about all the other obstacles. It's not necessarily limited to just to know how to solve this problem. Perhaps there would be different problems as well, but either way. But who can solve this problem? I personally believe that would be someone who can help themselves and help a number of different people out there. Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan's Caspian Sea sector contains extensive oil and gas reserves, which fields such as Kakhan, Tangins, and Kazakh being some of the most significant. Kazakh is particularly known for its immense oil reserves, and its deployment has been a major undertaking involving multiple international oil companies. So there's a lot of interest. So there's a lot of companies who knows how to do it, right? But letting those companies in, and I don't know, it's security, perhaps one of the major issues, or politics, and perhaps who would control those fields. So there's many challenges within the region. Turkmenistan. Turkmenistan offshore areas have substantial natural gas reserves. The South Yolatan Osman field, also known as Galkinan, is one of the largest gas fields in the world, and it serves as vital for Turkmenistan's economy and its exports to our global markets. But there's a lot of potential there again, and if anything, infrastructure and how they looking to move that whole having that infrastructure in place and have it, what would be a structure of that, how are we gonna move everything, as well as some of the bigger players in the market. That would be Russia and Iran. Russia's Caspian Sea sector contains oil and gas fields, including the giant Astrakhan and Kurdistan fields. In contrast to Iran, which shares a northern border with the Caspian Sea, has a Sardar-E jungle gas field. Well, these countries have significant resources. Their development and cooperation with the Caspian littoral state has been subject to various geopolitical considerations. I'm not entirely sure. I have never paid that much attention. Perhaps I should, but I never paid that much attention of what's really happening within the field, who are dominant powers when it comes to politics, as well as allocation of resources. So there's a lot of challenges there. I have tried doing a lot of research and trying to understand some of the governments and who would like to tap into those resources, perhaps outside government. So I have some understanding about that, but not entirely about the rest of it. Just to give you a perspective, sometimes outside government can own perhaps 8%, right? And some of those massive extracting companies can hold 80%. So governments will hold less than 10, and some of the private companies can own about 60 or more percent. So which is kind of interesting, how one company can own such a large percentage of the field. You know, just to put things into perspective. Exploration and development. The exploration and development of oil and gas field resources in the Caspian Sea region have required substantial investment, technology, and international collaboration. These activities can potentially include, let's cover those in more detail. Starting with offshore drilling to access hydrocarbon reserves beneath the Caspian Sea. Extensive offshore drilling is necessary. Offshore drilling platforms include fixed and floating platforms are used to extract oil and gas from beneath the seabed. From there, we move into pipeline infrastructure. So, and perhaps once you have that infrastructure, you want to make sure that that infrastructure would be secure, and there's additional cost involved in setting that in place. The pipeline infrastructure, building pipeline infrastructure, oil gas from offshore platforms to onshore facilities and eventually to our global markets is a crucial aspect of resources development. Notable projects include the Baku, Tbilisi, Tehran oil pipeline and South Caucasus pipeline and the Trans-Caspian gas pipeline, as well as there are other players where they're not looking perhaps to build very interesting projects within that region of how they can capture some of the value up there, as well as that would potentially help with sourcing finance as some of the projects. Production and refining. Extracted oil and gas undergo processing and refining before being sold into global markets. This involves separating valuable products like crude oil, natural gas, and condensates, which are used for various purposes, including energy production and petrochemicals. To set up all infrastructure is massive investments might be required, but again, it depends. What do you know about those resources and some of the investment decisions that you might be interested in making, perhaps not right now, perhaps in the future. Let's finalize with environmental considerations. The extractions and transportation of oil and gas in the Caspian Sea have raised environmental concerns. The region's sensitive ecosystems and potential for oil spills or gas leaks have led to efforts to mitigate environmental impacts and ensure responsible resource development. Some of those most recent ones, disasters can cost somewhere a bit around. So when I was doing research, I find some information that someone paid 65 billion. So there's a lot of money, right? 65 billion. So hopefully we as a society can prevent any of those diseases. I don't see reason why people intentionally would do any of those things, but again, it comes to such a small things, perhaps as sanctions, right? And when you or your country is sanctioned, perhaps you not really have access to simple things like insurance, where major insurance firms, perhaps there's only 12 of those, and those 12 firms have hold of all insurance market of 95% of insurance, right? When it comes to insuring your vessel, so then perhaps from that point, you need to pick very old vessel that would not necessarily be able to securely transport any of the resources required from point A to point B. If you had to pick very old vessel, that would be potentially caused of another additional problems within it. But either way, there's some operating obstacles that would need to be overcome. Geopolitical dynamics. The Caspian Sea oil and gas resources have been a source of both cooperation and contention among the littoral states and external actors. Several key geopolitical dynamics include, let's cover those in more detail. Territorial claims. The legal status of Caspian Sea has been a long-standing issue with the five littoral states: Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Russia, and Iran, having different perspectives on its division. In 2018, these countries reached a convention on the legal status of Caspian Sea, which aimed to establish a framework for cooperation, which is a good thing that there's some progress. I am not following all the what's happening with that within that region. Perhaps I should pay more attention, since there's a lot of value to capture, right? Energy exports routes. The Caspian Sea region has been the focus point of discussions on energy export routes. Pipeline connections in the region and global markets pass through countries like Georgia and Turkey to create alternative routes for Caspian oil and gas. They have some pipelines there already, so by potentially adding some extra pipes there, and how you can execute and secure those with the same maintenance teams, perhaps that would be options there. Foreign investment. If anything, let's focus on that. The development of oil and gas resources in the Caspian Sea has attracted significant foreign investments. International oil companies have formed consortia with the local states-owned companies to undertake projects, often under production sharing agreements, which is great. That's the one way how you could put your money in good use if it's something that you are more yourself you might be interested in. But I don't know if oil and gas is the future, but perhaps for next 5 or 10 years. Uh, but based on the history, some of those projects and the risk involved, right? So there's a lot of challenges there. Security and regional stability. The presence of valuable energy resources in the Caspian Sea has implications for regional security and stability. Conflicts and tensions in the region can disrupt energy flows and have far-reaching consequences, especially if you have your money tied up into some of the infrastructure there, while some of the people up there can potentially take over all of your investments, right? So there's a new set of challenges there. If you are interested in learning more, I have published a journal. In this journal, I'm focusing a lot on this journal is a tool that potentially would help you to improve yourself, help you to understand what would be required for you to develop habits that will last, optimize your time, if anything. If you were to work from cover to cover, that would be enough time for you to develop a habit that would last. With every page, if you were to focus on 24 hours and making most of your 24 hours, I have identified key areas that you should pay attention to within those areas, right? Uh, First, start with what Dava is in a journal. From there, if you are interested, you can progress and add other things as well that you can focus on. First, I would highly recommend to start with this journal, and from there you can progress and improve on top if you think that it would be more beneficial for your personal circumstances. You can find it in the description below as well as Topic Does has it. Just to summarize today's videos, there's so much information on that. If you are interested in perhaps allocating some percentage of your capital, there's a lot of potential there. Just finding a right operational team or investment vehicle might be some of the different challenges, right? It's a set of challenges. But either way, that summarizes today's video. That would be Caspian Sea is a crucial region for exploration and development of oil and gas resources. It vast reserves, along with the complex geopolitical and environmental considerations, make it a dynamic and evolving landscape in the global energy sector. The region's future will be shared by the cooperation and cooperating among the littoral states along the Caspian Sea and evolving energy market. As market demand currently is on the rise, but either way, you never know what the future might bring, right? And the imperative or to balance economic development with environmental sustainability. If you were to be interested there, don't forget to focus on very important things. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.